What's up guys, welcome back, it's BT here. Today we're going to be looking at the new Hati-s 4K Plus, or is it the Plus 4K? Either way, G-Wolves is one of the first companies outside of Razer to dip its toe into the 4K Hertz realm. Now this is great for us, the consumer, because now we have more competition. It's going to push Razer even further, hopefully make that Razer Viper Mini even better when it drops in the ultimate version. One thing that's really plagued G-Wolves is their inconsistency when it comes to their mice. One day they're dropping a banger, next day they have a mouse with the side buttons falling off. It is what it is, but nonetheless, it's really seen as one of those companies where you might get a good one or you might get a bad one. So today I'm going to be explaining some of the 4K Hertz technology in here, what went right, what went wrong, and also tell you about the build quality of this mouse. Did they nail the consistency? Finally, we'll see today. In the box, you'll find the usual suspects: the mouse, the 4K Hertz dongle, charging cable, which is micro USB, but hey, at least it's gold, I guess. I wish this was USB-C, not only for the sake of it, but I actually do have a good reason, which we will get to later. Now there's also a blue stick in here, which you use to turn on and off the mouse. Now this is a little bit odd, especially when you're paying $160 for the mouse. And I was a little bit confused when I first got it on how to turn it on. I had to just kind of grab the stick and figure it out. And I'm assuming they made the switch really little so that they can drop the weight of the mouse even more. But I would have much rather paid the price of 1 more gram just to get a bigger slider. Also in the box, they have some extra grips as well as some glass feet in there, which are much appreciated. Like I said, they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you here. So like I said, this mouse has a nice weight to it. It's coming in at 51 grams and some change. It's very well balanced, which I love. They did a great job on that. This thing feels like a feather, and that could be good or bad depending on what you like and who you are. If you're somebody that likes a light mouse, this is gonna feel great. If you wanna feel something substantial or just a little bit of something underneath your hand, this is not the mouse to get. Or in my case, I had to go with a control pad just to get a handle on this mouse. It feels much lower than 51 grams. Now where your hand touches the mouse, it is fully enclosed. There's no holes on the top. Turning the mouse over on the bottom, there's a bunch of holes that can be covered up by the plastic, which they include in the box for the bottom, especially with them adding in this USB micro. Now if you guys don't know, companies add this in to lower the weight of the mouse because the USB-C connector and technology just weighs more. The only problem is this thing needs to be charged very often, and I would love to have just been able to take the cable from my keyboard and place it straight into this mouse at the end of the night. The 4K Hertz eats up battery like a mother, let me tell you. And I think that's why they don't actually quote the battery life on their website anywhere. You can't find a battery life estimation anywhere on this mouse because they know this thing is a problem. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. For now, let's check out the shape and the grip styles that can be used with this mouse. This is a medium-sized mouse to medium small, I would say. Now some people were saying that this would be the next coming of the Razer Viper Mini. I have to say, put some respect on the Razer Viper Mini's name. This thing is not even close. They're two totally different shape and feels in the hand. This one has a hump more towards the back, whereas the Razer Viper Mini has such a gradual, nice hump that spreads over the back to the middle of the mouse. Now where they do kind of have a similarity is that they flare near the front and the back of the mouse. I do find the Hati's flaring to be a little on the, you see that, like it's just flares out a little bit too much for me personally. Now that's a personal preference. I just find that I have to move my fingers back a little bit. Like normally I like to have my fingers somewhere up here, but with this mouse I'm starting to put it like back here just to get away from that flaring. It's kind of like what the Death Adder V2 Pro or every other Death Adder except for this last V3 Pro, which they got rid of a lot of that flaring. And that's what kept a lot of people away from the Death Adder series, myself included. But once they took it away, it became a whole new mouse. I would love to see them just kind of taper this off slightly, and I think the shape would be much better. The coating feels pretty good. It's slightly rougher than like a G Pro Superlight, I would say. The grips, I was using them for a while, and at first I really liked them, but after a while, after some oils got on it, after some sweat got on it, it was probably more slippery than the actual mouse itself for me. So I just took them off. Now as for the grip styles, this of course lends itself to a claw grip with the hump being so back. For fingertip grip, it's also really nice. For palm, I would just skip it because the hump towards the back really shoots your fingers over the mouse. When I do like a relaxed claw, my fingers go all the way out to the front of the mouse. It's perfect. My hands are 19 by 8.5 centimeters. A lot of people have been asking me that recently. Overall, I do like the feel of this mouse in the hand, and I actually enjoyed using it and aiming with it. And I think if you're a claw grip user, if you're a medium-handed user, you might like this mouse. But again, if you're somebody that's sensitive to flaring like myself, you might go with another mouse. Another mouse for comparison is like the Pulsar, which is similar to this but doesn't have that big of a flare towards the front. It's more of a straight and narrow, and it actually feels a lot better for fingertip grip and claw grip for me personally. Like I said, I want to really touch on the quality of this mouse, and the side flex, the whole shell, everything about this mouse just feels great. The quality feels really good. Let's start with the good. The good on this mouse is the scroll wheel. I love the scroll wheel. It's damn near perfect for me personally. It's nice, defined, has some nice ridges on it so you can feel it. Up from there, there's a DPI button. You're seeing more and more companies get rid of this button. I actually hit the DPI button on this, so I had to go in the software and just take it off of there, but there's that. The mouse 1 and 2 have a nice cushion bottom out, not super cushiony like some other mice, but pretty good. This is my first time using these zippy switches in a mouse, and they feel pretty good. I wouldn't say they're as good as like the Pink Dot Huano switches or the Kale 8.0 switches, but they're decent. There's barely any wiggle on the mouse 1 and 2, which I really like. Feels very solid. Now the problem for me came with the side buttons. I don't like these at all. First of all, they're totally different. The first one is a lot tougher than the back button. The back one has a lot of pre and post travel, like a supreme amount, to where it just feels totally different. It's distracting. I just don't like it. And that's where my gripe with Jewels comes into play, as they've nailed their side buttons before. They've done it. I felt them myself. They've been great before. The mouse 1 and 2 have been better than this. You know what I mean? Like, these things, like, they go up and down, up and down, up and down. The next mouse is gonna be a banger. We know it's gonna be a banger because they just put this out. And we have so much competition with like Lamzu, the Pulsar, we got Razer doing great things. I don't know what Logitech's doing, but we have some really good mice out there, and it becomes a battle of inches. And you gotta do the little things right. You gotta nail the mouse 1 and 2. You gotta nail the side buttons for people to want to give you their money. And people are gonna look at this and be like, the Lamzu's perfect, or Pulsar's been putting out different copies of their mice and it's getting better and better. So what I'm trying to say is just overall that this is, from a build quality standpoint, good, but there's some greatness out there right now that might make people overlook this mouse, even though it has 4K hertz. Now let's talk about the wireless a little bit. As to be expected, the 4K hertz is immaculate. Pulling rate is 4 times the normal 1000 hertz mice, which are dominating the market space at the moment. The only other company doing this is Razer, like I said, so it's nice to see. Essentially, the pulling rate is how many times your computer checks the connection with your mouse. So it's doing it 4,000 times per second compared to 1,000 times. So you're gonna get all those little intricacies that you wouldn't get even with a 1000 hertz mouse. For me, the 4K hertz dongle on this one has been a lot less buggy than the Razer one. I don't know if it's that Synapse software, back at it again, but the software with the G-Wolves is very light feeling. The 4K hertz just worked right out of the box. I got no stuttering in my games, whereas on Razer I had to turn off some settings to stop the stuttering. Now the one drawback of 4K hertz is that this thing eats battery like a mofo. Like, I'm not joking. Every night I have to charge this mouse, which is why I need that USB-C. I've had times where this just cuts out on me mid-game. No warning. I wish their software could actually send you out a notification saying it's about to die, but just no warning, just stops tracking. And I'm like, I just charged it the day before, whereas Razer I can get through about a week. So it's not perfect technology, and it does come at a cost of battery life. Like I said, they don't even quote it anywhere on their website, or you can't find any numbers anywhere, because this thing, I'd say about a day and a half max. If you're a heavy user, like a day, like it's not my favorite. So you gotta see what's worth it for you. I mean, my shots do feel really crispy with this mouse, like the sensor, the $33.99 sensor. So you gotta think about what it's worth to you. Do you want that 4K hertz in exchange for battery life? You gotta make some choices here. For me, I need a balance. I need some of that battery life back. I'm not a person that remembers to charge my mouse every night. That's just me. Now in the software, you can change the pulling rate, again, from the 4,000 down to a 1,000. You can also change the liftoff distance from 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters, assign the buttons to different things, the usual suspects that we usually see. They also give you a battery indicator in there. You can actually have this on like a secondary screen, I guess, if you're worried about it dying while you're playing a game, but I don't know, it seems kind of ridiculous to me. So I would love for G-Wolves just to nail it down every time they drop a mouse, and I think that would raise their reputation and overall just put them up there with the upper echelons of like Razer and them. Because Razer's dropping, what, the mouse is 150 plus the dongles another 30, so 180. Dropping this at 160. G-Wolves has always had great pricing, so they've got a lot of stuff going for it. They just need to dial it in and they can reach that next upper echelon of mice. All right, so if you're new here, we do a rating system where we rate the mouse out of 10 so you can see where it lands versus some other mice. And for today, the G-Wolves Hati-s 4K Plus gets a rating of 8.4 out of 10. Not perfect, has some quirks to it, but that 4K hertz is really, really good. All right, so that's gonna do it for this review of the Hati-s Plus 4K or 4K Plus. It has been your boy BT saying peace.